There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite, yeah, when we unite, oh, we unite, yeah, yeah, when we unite, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Yes, yes, yes. You are welcome here to the House of Love. Okay, we got that turned off. It's so good to see you all, even though that's a kind of lie because I never see you, I don't see you, but I feel you. So it's good to feel you. It's good to know that you're there. I just need to make sure that we got sound and everything on YouTube. That's very, very important. While I look, so come on in, share the show. That's very, very important. Like the show, tell people, hey, guess what? The best show ever is live right now. It is, because this is a show that nobody can do just like me. So it's the best show ever. Just want to make sure. Let me turn this volume down. Yeah.
This is a
Okay.
show that nobody can.
That's right. It's so good I had to say it twice. Nobody can do it like me. William, my brother, namaskar, namaste. So good to see you on a weekly basis. It's always good to see family, friends hanging out. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are at this moment. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for tuning in into yourself first, because that's important. Being You, the podcast is all about that, reminding you to tune in so that you create from the inside out. You heal from the inside out. And so when outside looks kind of crazy, it looks like, what the flip is going on? You can take a moment to breathe, take a deep breath, and ask for guidance. Drea, nice to see you. And when you ask for guidance, you will be led in the direction of what to do. And sometimes when you're led, some people kind of wait for a word, or they're looking for something. I didn't hear anything, but it doesn't matter. The minute you take a moment to breathe in and you tune in, the leading can happen in a way where you feel like, I'm going to go that way. I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to sit down. So don't get so caught up in, I didn't hear anything. There are many ways to hear. You can hear through your body. You can hear through the expression of somebody else. So when you tune in, you listen, you create the space for transformation. So yes, thank you for tuning in, for listening, and giving yourself permission to be transformed. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist, your spiritual healer, teacher, mindset coach. And when I put it all together, I'm simply a freelance agent for God. I am here to be of service. I am here to be a voice. And more importantly, and I hope this is important for you all, more importantly, to be the best representation of myself. So I can represent, no, not so I can, as I represent my ancestors, I represent the story that I came here to tell. Jeanette, how nice to see you. Nice to see you. New Jace is in the house. Yes, thank you all for being here. Share the show, like the show, tell your folks, come on here. Tell them to pour themselves a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or a glass of wine, or anything else that makes them happy. And nobody's going to say, well, I only did it because Ade told me to do it. No, you did it because you wanted to do it. Do whatever brings you joy. Ultimately, that's my message, really. We're all here. Well, we have the freedom to do whatever brings us joy, whatever brings us peace. You are listening to Ade Presents The Journey Back to Yourself. No, that's not it. Ade Presents Being You, the podcast, and it is the journey back to yourself. Pat, so nice to see you. You're using your username today, or your business name. Let's take a breath together. Taking a deep breath one more time. Breathe in from the crown of your head and allow the breath to move through your body all the way down your legs and out of your toes. Take another deep breath in honor of yourself, in honor of your journey, of your life, of your existence, of your presence, in honor of your ancestors, those who passed life on to you. Recognize that they live in you, as you, and because of them, you are here. Kwali's in the house. Nice to see you, my dear sister. How is it going at work? Hey, hey, hey. I tell you often before the show, there's always a feeling. I can never describe the feeling, but the best way I can put it as I listen to it, it's almost like feeling plugged in. And it's a very good place to be. I feel held, I feel supported. And I pray, know, and affirm that the same thing happens for you when you sit still to listen, to do whatever that is. Not just when you're doing what you call spiritual, but just when you wake up in the morning. And even if you don't feel that when you wake up in the morning, because there are mornings that I don't feel like connected. I wake up worrying about things that I'm doing that day, things that I've been worrying about for years that never did happen, just constant. Do your spiritual practice, but I won't talk more about that. I will talk more about that later. I won't talk about it now. This is season 4, episode 16. Today is April 26th, 2022. Right, I got it. I said it right. And the topic today is why rituals are important. Think about that. I want to ask you a question. When you hear the word ritual, when you saw the title, if you did, or when you hear it, if you saw it, what came up for you? What comes up for you when you hear rituals? I mean, I know what comes up for me, but I'm curious to hear what comes up for you guys. My brother Baptiste, good morning to you all the way from Rwanda. Well, my show with Ricky is tomorrow, not today. But yes, Ricky and your family said, we are with you. I am with you. Thank you, my brother. And love and blessings to your wife and your newborn Nelson. Why rituals are important. And why is it important? What comes up for you? Feel about that. Think about that as I share, part, I guess, the pillar of the show, why I do what I do. But it's a sub-pillar. But all my work is rooted in that, whether it's representing your ancestors, representing your stories, or a podcast, or doing an interplay workshop, or drumming, writing. It's really about helping people to take a look at themselves. So, this podcast is about inspiring you, encouraging you to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, how do I see myself? How do I see myself in the world? How do I see myself? It really doesn't matter which order, really. But how do I see myself? How do I see the world? How do I see myself in the world? And how do I see the world in me? Yes. Journey Tamer said rituals are grounded. They ground, right? Let me know if that's what you mean. They keep us grounded. I love that. I feel that. Yeah, how do you see yourself in the world, and how do you see the world in you? You are it, right? You are it. You are your own path. You are your own journey. You are your own experience. Yes. You are your own triggers. You are also all that you accept. You are your body. I said that intentionally. I'll say more. Well, let me say it now because I go off now, then I forget to come back to it. We're that and more. We're that and more. So the question is, when you hear rituals, what comes to mind? Weddings, funerals, christening. And rituals connects us to ancestors, indeed. It connects us to God. It connects us to, I like that. You said, William said, rituals connect us to our ancestors, the past, and God. Ooh, there's something there that I feel like I want to just sit with. Rituals, focusing, connecting with spirituality. Oh, I love that word past is bringing up something for me, and I want to speak to that. Morning prayer is a ritual. Your spiritual practice is a ritual. Dancing is a ritual. Singing, journaling, affirming, brushing your teeth, getting dressed. It's a ritual. Ritual for me is anything you do on a regular basis, knowing that it's bringing you to a certain result. You brush your teeth because of the health benefits. You get dressed because you don't want to go to work looking shabby or go to school or step out in the world. The rituals, which is when I'm focusing more, the spiritual rituals is to remind us, reconnect us. I want to say something about the past because I feel like it's coming up. I know it is. The first time I heard this, it was mind shattering. It was mind expanding. And it was Brother Ishmael Tete. And now I can't remember exactly what he said, but what he said had me appreciate and keep appreciating the past more than ever before. In the New Thought community, metaphysical community, we often say, leave your past in the past. You can't change your past. You actually can change your past. You can change your past. How do you change your past? You do it now. You stop telling that story that you were telling in the past. You look at some of the experiences that you went through in the past. How did that even happen? Okay. Yay, the ice cream man is here. You change your past by changing it now, by being willing to look at it differently, by questioning yourself and saying, maybe what I believed about what happened in the past is not the whole picture. Doesn't mean I was wrong, and it could be. But let's just say you are right about how you've been seeing it, but maybe there's more to it. That's how you change the past. So going back to Brother Ishmael Tete, who is an African mystic, nature is my teacher. And when he says that, I feel it and I understand it even more than ever. Nature is my teacher, and I am disciplining myself to spend more time in nature. There was a time when I was living somewhere else. I live in Leicester now, another part of UK, England. But when I was living in Dawlish, I used to go to the water. It was so healing. Anyway, Brother Ishmael Tete talked about, embracing the past, the importance of the past, because your past delivered you. Your past infused you with memory and wisdom that you're living today, that is happening now. Now, the truth is, oftentimes when we say forget your past, don't think about the past. Generally speaking, most people are talking about the things that happened in the past that we could let go of and stop telling that same story over and over and over and over and over. So your past is like, oh, damn, stop. I'm tired of hearing you talk about me over and over and over. And the question is, when we find ourselves doing that or keep justifying something that happened that was wrong, if we keep justifying generational trauma and not moving towards the healing, the question is to ask yourself, am I more committed to the hurt, to the pain, to the struggle than I am to the healing and the liberation of myself, of my people, and humanity? Sometimes we are so committed to the pain, to the injustice, that we are not even allowing ourselves to make space, make room for the healing, for new idea, for new thought. Rituals help you do that. Rituals help you get still if you choose to do it with the right intention. Meditation is a ritual that people feel all kind of funny about. Because sometimes people feel funny about it because they think when they meditate, they just have to empty their mind, not have any thoughts. And if they are thinking, then they're not doing it right. Or because they remember they had something in the oven last night and couldn't remember if they turned it off. Well, if you're meditating, you said, did I turn off the oven last night? If you're still around on this planet to ask and you ain't smelling nothing, you're good. Prayer is a ritual. Lighting a candle to celebrate, to acknowledge your ancestors is a ritual. Let me tell you about this before I move on, because I know once I get going, I go. I'm doing an event, a gathering, a sacred gathering this Thursday, April 28th, with Let's Imagine.org. No, Let's Reimagine.org. So you can check them out. But actually, to make it even easier for you, let me give you my the link to it, bit.ly/your ancestors, bit.ly/your your ancestors. So I'm doing an event titled Representing Your Ancestors. And what I'm doing, what I'm going to stand for is reimagining our connection to our deep, deep ancestral roots, the ancestral wisdom. When we reimagine how we see our ancestors, when we reimagine how we see ourselves, when we reimagine our stories, we start to find that there's some things that we hadn't thought of before, or some things that we've always thought of, but we start to question some things. I think it was last week, I don't know if it was last week, where I told you that my father, no, I was writing it. It's part of my book. I don't know where there's a writer talking about it, but there's a story. My father, when he was here, well, he's here now, but back in the 60s, he was here with my mom, and my nanny has two girls. My nanny is British, or like they like to say over here, white people are English, and everybody else is British. I don't know why that is, but anyway, that's a whole different conversation. Speaking of belonging. Anyway, my nanny's daughters couldn't pronounce my dad's first name. So they changed his name to Allen, Allen. So all these years, I know because one of the daughters, I'm in connection with her, well, particularly on Facebook. They both live here, but one of them I'm closer to than the other. I say closer because we don't talk every day, but every now and then we chat on Facebook. And she would say, "How's Uncle Alan?" And she would spell Allan. And I'm thinking, oh, interesting. Why is she spelling it like that? And about a month ago or so, maybe just a little under 2 months ago, I was talking to my father. In the conversation, we were talking about names and grandparents who changed their name. Instead of using their last name, surname, they used their first name and they changed. And I was like, I didn't know all of this was going on in my family. No wonder I'm so passionate about names. And as I embark on the journey of pronouncing my name correctly, and my dad told me that, I had a conversation about it. I said something. He said, no, it's not Alan, it's Allan, Allan. I said, what? Now for 40 years, 50 years, I've always believed it was Allen instead of Allan, Allan. So there are times we carry a story and we are so clear that is the truth that we are not even telling the whole story. How did I get on that? I don't know. Well, what else? I told you I got a tangent. Someone said recently this weekend, I was talking about life. I was talking about politics. It's a group that I'm part of. And I was sharing with them, and I was just pulling, things that I've seen. The way I move through life, I look at different things, whether it's politics, whether it's what corporations are doing, whether it's a family affair, whether it's friends. I look at everything and look for the common thread and look at spaces and evidence of truth, of love, of God, of our connection. So as I was telling this story, for whatever reason, when she gave her feedback, she was saying that when she first started hearing me, she was like, what does this have to do with spirituality? A small part of me was like, but then I'm like, because I know where I stand. But then as she kept listening, she heard what she needed to hear, which was part of her transformation. We make a mistake and think there is work life, and there is family life, and then there's spirituality, and then there is humanity, and then there's my relationship. No, it is all part of the same. It's all you. It's all you. Everything is an extension of your spiritual nature. Everything starts with a thought. A thought is a vibration that is expressed out of the spiritual substance. Everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Now, when you start putting rules and regulations, you can now have some things that are institutions out of this spiritual awareness, spiritual understanding. Who on this planet is not spiritual? And if you are your own path, I'm on my path, and I'm not there yet, I'm working on me. On your path is you, your path. You are the path. So everything is spiritual, and that's some of the mistakes that we make, those of us on the spiritual path. Politics, news. Oh, I don't deal with that. It's not spiritual. They're not spiritual. The minute you do that now, you're adding more to the problem. Rituals help you focus on oneness. Rituals help you focus on what is true. Rituals give you the space to allow that sense of separation to just evaporate. Because you have to sit still long enough, sit your behind down long enough to feel something or not feel something, whether you know it or not. Why are rituals important? Because it reconnects you to yourself. And as you reconnect to yourself, instead of saying, I don't know where I belong, I don't know where home is, I don't know what this, I don't know that, I feel disconnected. It is like an exercise. The rituals allow you to know, to grow your roots, sometimes beyond your logical mind. Most times. It connects you to your ancestors. It reminds you that you're so much more. Are your ancestors in the past? You can say yes. And they're in the present. And how you represent them now, you're always representing your ancestors, whether you know it or not. But you have the choice. That's the most important thing. You can represent your ancestors. If you had ancestors that did great work, that were creative visionaries, you can represent them and take it to the next level. If you have ancestors that did horrible things, you can represent them and shine the light of truth on who they were and who they are energetically, so that what they did can be healed and be brought to the light. Don't get so holy. It's like, I can't deal with that kind of vibration. Well, that's just negativity. The beautiful thing about the energy of love, it invites it all. That's why it's harmonizing. That's why it heals. So when you make room for things that happened in the past because you read something, you probably don't even have the whole story. You actually make room for healing. You become the love that wants to be expressed. Love invites it, because love is not afraid of anything or anyone. Love loves for the sake of loving. And when you step into the space for love, love is like a fire. It will transform you. And I'm willing to bet, I can bet whatever I want, because I may never get to pay you back. 100 years from now, 500 years from now, 600 years from now, there might be some of your descendants who judge what you're doing today, and you actually believe today, right now, that you're doing the best. That's what I had to do. And it may be, but based on how they perceive from where they are and looking back at where we are, they might have judgment. It's easy to look back at the things that happened in the past and judge that and have an opinion about it. There's nothing wrong with that, but particularly having an opinion about it. But the minute you start judging, you're creating more judgment now. So that energy of judgment that you're putting out there for what they did, you're keeping it alive. You see a comment in Instagram. Tamer said on Instagram, she said, I do agree, but I saw the bot. I was like, oh, here it comes. I do agree, but I like my life to be compartmentalized. This is a mistake, ? I wouldn't say it's a mistake. And I will tell you what I know. Like, if we compartmentalize our lives, let me speak for me. I find that it can be problematic when I do that. Because it's the same me that shows up in my romantic relationship. It's the same me that's showing up here to do this podcast. It's the same me that's going to be at the event on Thursday. It's me if I'm at work, if I'm out grocery shopping. It's me. It's me. Sometimes when we do that, I'm not saying you do that, Tamer, but it's a slippery slope where we think, oh, I got a podcast. Oh, I'm a podcaster. good afternoon, trying to be all perfect. I don't see any reason. We do it, and it doesn't mean we need to judge it. But I don't really, when you really sit still long enough in that ritualistic meditation, you just sit down. And maybe you're walking, maybe you're dancing. Is your life really compartmentalized? Because you're beyond thought for the most part. You're beyond the conscious mind, the conscious thinking, the logical mind. You're in a place where you're in the moment. So I find the more we practice, instead of trying to compartmentalize our lives, the more we allow it to recognize it's me everywhere, it allows for more connection. So when you bring your spiritual life, your spiritual self to work, you shine. When you bring the spiritual essence of yourself that you know because you're doing your practice, when you bring it to work, to your relationship, to the grocery store, you shine. And there's no need to say, oh, there's my financial life, that's just sucks. But this, no. If any part of your life sucks, I'm talking you, universal you. If any parts of your life sucks, is a reflection of something else. No, I would say something else. A reflection of how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. It may reflect to you, maybe showing you how you think about money, how you think of abundance. Some of us see money as abundance. Oh, I'm praying for abundance, and we're only thinking about money. Where there's so many other ways. When someone gifts you something, that's abundance. When someone offers support, that's abundance. When someone does an exchange with you, that's abundance. The ability to think is abundance. To imagine a different way of being, to say, what is mine to do today? That's abundance. You tapped into it. You are it. The ability to be creative, the ability to change your thoughts, that's the energy of abundance. The ability for your body to heal itself, that's abundance. This money is like lower in the totem pole. And that's why sometimes when people make money God, when people make money the representation of abundance, some of the things they see that we experience, we're like, why are they doing that with all that money? We should learn that with all that money, that ain't going to change nothing. Money is a reflection, is a representation of the goodness of the divine, the goodness of the great I am. So rituals, why are they important? They remind you who you are. Part of my ritual now, and this morning I woke up, and normally during the week I don't go because it's a little bit far from me. And this morning, as I was thinking, okay, do I meditate first or do I read? I just felt the impression to go to nature. And I don't know if it was my first thought, but I was like, ooh, that's going to take a long time. I got things to do. And instantly I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Because when we ask the divine, we receive. There's a scripture that says, before you ask, I will answer. Of course. The fact that you're asking, thinking a thought, praying a thought is an indicator that the God in you, the God as you, it's saying this is available. Sometimes we pray as if something is missing, but nothing is missing. It's already here. Tamer said, I'm shining everywhere. The problem is that I get targeted. Ooh, I love this conversation. I haven't even finished reading what she said yet. I'm sharing everywhere. The problem is that I get targeted by energy vampires who decide I have to be their best friend when I have no desire to be their friend. This causes a lot of conflict for me. Now, that's loaded. That's a loaded statement, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who can relate to what you just said. And so my answer may or may not help you. And I pray that it does. Because if we're working one-on-one, we'll unpack that. Because there's a lot in that statement. Hey, Neff. So let's just walk this logically. If you're shining your light, when you are shining your light, and Tamer, thank you for sharing your story. because you're not just speaking for you, you're speaking for others. There's some people who can kind of relate to it. There might be some people who are saying something else coming intellectual, like, well, yeah, you know, you attract your reality or whatever. True, but there's something about an embodied law of attraction when what you know about spiritual principles has moved through the filter of your body, has moved through your heart. You can still have the same conversation, but in a way that people can hear, rather than doing spiritual bypassing. Well, you create your reality. Okay. And yes, you do. You create how you see your reality. So, you shine your light everywhere. The problem is that you get targeted by energy vampires who decide I have to be their best friend when I have no desire to be their friend. This causes a lot of conflict for me. Well, tell me more about the conflict while I speak to that. If you're shining, of course people want to draw to the light. Actually, I'm going to make this a lot simpler. Yeah, I'm hearing something simpler. Because where I was going to go, maybe a little bit detailed, because I'm a storyteller. But I want to invite you to check your belief system. Check your belief system. There's clearly, he says that confidently, there is a belief in there that as you shine your light, people are going to want some of you, and even people that you don't want to be with, or else you won't be experiencing that. And it's easy to take that law, to apply it when we're attracting something that we really like. I'm talking for everyone right here, right now. There is a belief that when you shine, people are going to draw to you and not, hey, Rhonda, it's nice to see you. Send me some Reiki energy. That when people draw to you, then they're going to drain you, or it's going to be a problem and I can't deal with it. I'm going to be very simple and say, change your beliefs about that. First of all, when you're shining your light is a balancing force. So when people come to be your best friend, then maybe they're coming they're coming for healing. There's something else to be said. When you're vibrating such a frequency, the people who at a high frequency, the people who come into your path, they have to match the energy that you're vibrating, that you're putting out there. And this may be a lot easier if you don't look at it as you're doing something wrong. Just observe it. So here's a question. How can I still shine my light everywhere I go and it be a joyful experience? That it be a rewarding experience? That I'm still that I am fulfilled? Don't even go down that I don't attract energy vampires. Because the minute you start saying, how can I shine my light without attracting energy vampires? Not only are you get the answer to that question, you're also activating what you call energy vampires. So leave them out of the equation. How can I be me? How can I show up and attracting people that add to me, that affirm me, that help me see more? The principles are simple. The application could be challenging, but you might even, here's another tip I'm going to give you, how to really get behind. You know, when I say you got to change your belief system, that's sometimes easy to say to people, change your belief system. But it's like, well, I don't know. It's my belief system. I can't just go in my belief system because I don't even know where it is. And how do I click delete? How do I update it? How do I edit it? Rituals. Take a walk. Take a breath, rituals. Dance, ritual. It's a ritual. Dancing is a ritual. And in that place, maybe after you dance, and just ask God. God is really your ancestors. The ancestors of God. Help me understand this. Is there somebody in my lineage who went through this? It was so great, so powerful that they draw energy vampires. Let's just stay with that. Because it's not about making you wrong or anybody wrong. I'm staying with that and say, who in my lineage went through this? Or maybe is this someone in my ancestry can help me deal with this to see this differently? Because the minute you do that, you're tapping within and calling forth wisdom beyond the logical mind to deal with today. Ancestral veneration is not something that only black people do, or some people from Africa. No, recognizing your ancestral roots, honoring it, acknowledging it, is to call forth wisdom and new thoughts and new ideas and new solutions and new creation that's beyond. If you think about it, you talk about wine, right? And they say, like, fine wine, it gets better with time. The wisdom of those who came before you is getting better with time, and they pass that on to you. So each and every one of us is a glass of fine wine, a bottle of fine wine, a vineyard, or whatever they call where they store wine. It's in us. We just must go. We just have to go in and tap in and ask for the guidance. And for some other people, you might just say, okay, ancestors, I'm stepping out in the world, I'm shining my light, and I ask you to protect me. Some people want to be protected. I ask you to protect me. I give up this need to even be in conflict with people who come into my life. The Jesuses of the world, I'm sure people wanted to be their best friend. The Mandelas, the Martin Luther Kings, the Mother Teresa's. What is Mandela's wife? Winnie Mandela's. And people who are alive. I'm sure Yana Van Zant, Rev D, Ricky Byers, Wayne Dyer. He's not here. He's an ancestor now. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to be their best friend. When you shine your light, like what's that thing? The moth start coming to you. Shine your light so bright that your light becomes the protector. That your light becomes the thing that it transforms the energy, that vampiric. I don't know. I just made that up. That vampire energy is transformed. Share. Let me hear what's coming up for you. How is this landing? You don't have to agree with me. I'm cool with not agreeing with me. So share. So it's like, well, I don't know about that. It generates a lot of conversation. And as you share your thoughts, it takes me to the next level. And we just go deeper. Rituals are important because it helps you be connected. It helps you know that you're not alone. It helps you be connected. You have a deep appreciation for your existence and love. And a deeply connected person is a force to be reckoned with. Someone who is connected is a force to be reckoned with. Doesn't mean you won't go through stuff. You will go through it and grow through it. But when you're in that space, it's like a tree that's been around for years. The roots go so deep. It gets windy and it leans. You might go, oh my God, that tree is going to get knocked over. No. And then after a while, after the storm is gone, the tree's like, I'm still standing. Yeah. I'm not going to sing. Tamer said, God has given me an assignment that I keep fighting. Oh, she's telling the truth. I love you and I appreciate you. God has, okay, hold on a minute. Let me take a breath on that. How many of you can relate to that? Thank you. God has given me an assignment that I keep fighting. These people do they do want to be healed, which wouldn't be bad if they didn't want me to be their best friend. I have to enforce boundaries. Yes. What if what you're calling them wanting to be your best friend is knowing that you have a message for them, a medicine for them, and they're pulling it because you're too busy fighting God, and people are lining up saying, "Oh, can I have some more?" And you're like, "Oh, go away! I need more customers. I need more." But you got your restaurant full of food. Your boundary is to say yes to God, to say yes to life, to say yes to the great I am. When you say yes to God, God becomes the boundary. You don't have to enforce nothing. Your presence becomes the enforcer. It becomes the bouncer. You experience life. You still get to go through some stuff, but from a different perspective. If you forget the people are reminding you that you're fighting your assignment. They're doing you a favor. They're actually blessing you. They're giving you a gift. They're saying, dear Sister Tamer, say yes. Surrender. Stop the fight. See, remember what I said earlier? How we do anything is how we do everything. So a fight is a conflict. So you said, God has given me an assignment that I keep fighting. Conflict. There are people who come to me, I shine my light, and that creates conflict for me. Who's creating conflict? You. I'll say this. When we say yes to the assignment, to the mission, to the reason for being, we move through life differently. You find that you get a different response from people, places that other people may have told you, oh no, they're never going to do that. Because you are walking in the light as the light. Your vibration itself changes the environment. It's a chemical reaction. Give up the conflict by surrendering. The question is, why are you fighting? It sounds like you think you know better than what God is trying to tell you to do. When we fight, we ignite conflict. Now, I know that sometimes you got to fight for the liberation of our people, yes. And if you're going to fight, make the fight is rooted in love. So that your fight is a different way of being. You're not trying to kill the other person. You're not trying to take them out. You're trying to lift them up. There is a light, there's a shadow to everything. There's a part of love that is delightful, and there's a part of love that is dark. Tamer said, oh my God, my energy has changed this entire work environment. Yes. You can step into a space and a place and people feel your energy even before you get there. We underestimate our own power. We forget that we go way back. We forget that we are the bridge between the past and the future. We are the bridge. And as the bridge, the past, the future, all lives here. It all lives here. So rituals is a discipline. It's your commitment to staying aligned. You know, there's religious rituals. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. I love this sort of definition of ritual. A ritual is a sequence of activities involving gestures, words, actions, or objects performed according to a set sequence. Ritual may be prescribed by the traditions of a community, including a religious community. Honoring your ancestors, representing your ancestors, reminds you that you're so much more than what you see in the mirror. It helps you to, it creates space. It allows you to surrender so the fear can be released. Sometimes we feel in fear, but because we're holding on, we end up holding on to the fear. I find myself when they say, can y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? And Jackie, don't be calling me no reverend brother. Actually, I don't mind. It's all good. Tamer said, thank you. I have work to do on myself. You're welcome. And we do. And the work It shows up differently, but the work to do is continue to allowing more of God, more of what is true about us. And that also means embracing what it means to be human, embracing our humanity. So as part of this representing our ancestors, representing our stories that I do, part of it is a grief ritual to allow ourselves to feel pain, to allow ourselves to feel sadness, and maybe even ask the pain, the sadness, the struggle, the frustration, what do you have for me? What is the message? What do I need to see here? And sometimes just sit in the grief of it all. Just sit in the sadness of it all. Don't move in. Just let it be a little drive-through. You know, when you go to the drive-through or the fast food restaurants, you know you're only going to be there for a little while. Just stay there a little while and like, okay, here I am. One thing I know for sure, sometimes it's scary, but the rituals that you do, your spiritual practice, helps you, it gives you the courage to sit there long enough. Like when, if ever you find yourself being afraid, being terrified, if you can activate enough courage, if you can bring up enough courage to just sit with the fear, to sit with the sadness, to sit with the frustration, the energy will dissipate. It will, I promise you. Now, when you sit with it, because when you sit with it long enough, you may just find that you need to make a call to somebody. It may be just the time to go forth and book that appointment with a therapist. I'm not saying replace therapies for your connection with your ancestors. And I won't say connecting with your ancestors is far more better than going to a therapist. They all play their role. It's like taking a meditation, yes, but a medication. You pop the tablet and you drink water. You take the artificial stuff and you take life energy. Water is alive, and you wash it down with water. But maybe sometimes people use juice or maybe alcohol. I don't know. But if you give yourself for example, I'm going to use you again, Tamer. Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing your story. When you find yourself in that place of conflict, like, oh my God, these people get on my nerves. I'm just trying to shine my light. I need to put on some conflict. I don't know what to do. I'm not saying you do that. I'm just kind of exaggerating it to make my point. Take a breath. Okay. Let me calm down. Let me calm the flip down. Let me just breathe. I don't know why these people want to be my friends. I don't want to be their best friend. I'm trying to figure out my life. I'm still trying to figure. I know God gave me an assignment and I'm fighting. I don't have time. I don't have the energy to give to them. God help me. Take a deep breath. I surrender. I forgive myself for fighting. I forgive them for imposing themselves on me, for trying to tell me how to live, or trying to come through the door when I have it locked. I forgive myself, and I am willing to see differently. You make that a habit, things will shift. We have all that we need. We just must be willing to do it differently. When you start your day with the right mind, in the right mind, it changes everything. It's like programming your playlist. Program your playlist for life, for your day, from moment to moment. When you find yourself in a place or a space or with people who are playing their playlist and it doesn't align with your vibration, just turn yours on and simply go, okay, I don't like this music. I get to listen to mine. You see what I'm saying? That may have interrupted my stream on that account. Put your own earbuds in. Tamer said, that's exactly how I feel. I fight them because they are overwhelming with their negativity. And when you end up fighting, you're exhausted. So, what, what if these people who wants to be your best friend are representing God and representing God, and the message they're bringing to you is God is saying, I just want to be your best friend. I just want to be your best friend. I just want to be your best friend. And what you're calling negativity, I don't know, but I'm just, what if what you're calling negativity is an answered prayer? If it's happening over and over and over and over and over and over in too many places, there's a message there. It's got to be more than that, just negativity. I just need to stop and say, why? Okay, you got my attention. I did a show 2 weeks ago, whatever, when I talked about resisting being in a detention center. And then after a while, I resisted it. I was fighting it. And then one day I just said, okay, I surrender. When you surrender, when you get to that place of surrender, it's like God goes, oh, this is going to be good. I just found a new best friend. Yes, Tamer said she thinks they're a test. Yeah, they're testing you to see if you're ready to give up the fight. Yes, Andrea, pocket learner. Save your energy. We are responsible. We are the only ones responsible for our energy. Indeed. By the choices we make, by the actions we take, the thoughts we are thinking. Because the same people that we consider to be bringing negative energy, what if we say, all right, you know what? I'm going to see them differently. I'm going to allow myself to consider that they're actually bringing me a blessing. I don't know about that. Everybody knows they're ratchet. Everybody knows that. Wait. We ain't talking about everybody now, because everybody deals with it differently. What if I give myself permission to consider that maybe they are actually bringing me a blessing, an answered prayer, something that I've been asking for? You know, I'm just going to say this. I'm saying it like I'm threatening somebody, but it will make sense. Your prayers are going to be answered through people. I think I was going to say only happens through people, but that's not true. That's not the complete truth. People are God's angels. So the test that they bring is to activate something in us so we can check ourselves. And the more we commit to the rituals commitment is about discipline. Be disciplined enough to spend time with the great I am. Be disciplined enough to be committed. Disciplined to be committed. I like that. Be disciplined enough to be committed to the healing. To understand that there is more. And it doesn't always have to be difficult. And the thing is, this discipline invites us to be vigilant, to be awake, to be aware. Because when we start going down the line of judging somebody, there was a time when, Trump was that somebody that everybody agreed was just a horrible person. Some people said he was the devil. Now, what do we have? Generally speaking, there's some people who thought Trump was Jesus reincarnated. And you may not be able to understand that, but it's not for you to understand. Some people may not understand why you think Trump was the devil. But guess what? You're the one thinking the thought that brings about the things that you see. So right now, globally, we can say Putin is the devil. Maybe. But is he? There are some people doing some things right now, because that's just the way humans are. They're doing some things that we can't even imagine it. But maybe somehow somebody gets to find out this story, they put it in the paper, in the magazine, on the news, and we're like, oh my God, how can people be so horrible? How can people be so evil? There are people doing amazing work. They're healing. They're bringing about the healing, the sense of separation between races. They're supporting people. They're building houses for people without homes. They're nurses who are loving from a place of overflow rather than being drained. And I'm not judging them being drained, because it's a difference. There's a difference to offer your gift and service from overflow than from a place of being drained, because of the pressure that's put on them. But when you have your rituals, whenever you do it, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, at night, to tune in, you get to show up as the messenger. And then because you are seeing things that's happening differently, you will experience life differently. How you live is a ritual. The ritual is only for you. That's right, Tamer. Gratitude is so important. Oops, that wasn't what I was trying to. I tried to read these messages before I flashed them, but this one wants to come up. We are God's eye. We are God's eyes to see. Oh yes, exactly. To see and alleviate pain, ears to hear the cries of humanity, hands to help those in need of help, and feet. There's more coming, because she got ... to walk people back to themselves. I'll add that to it. We are the place and places. We are the places, the space, and the place where God gets to represent itself. Where is God? Right where you are. If you can't be God in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of war, in the midst of famine, in the midst of depression, inflation, in the midst of government, politicians doing some stupid shift, you're going to be asking for God, looking for God, because God is like, I'm here. You don't see me as you. Jeanette said, this has been enlightening. Back in the 70s, I remember criticizing my ex-husband as he did his rituals during his conversion to Islam. I told him that was too much and unnecessary. Now I forgive myself. You were like, I don't know about all that praying 5 times a day. What are you doing? Washing your hands, washing your ears, and washing out. Come on, that's too much. I love that. I love that you say, now I forgive myself. That's right. That's right. That's so loaded. My mother's ritual. Oh, I want to say, my wonderful father. My mom is no longer here. She's in the ancestral realm. My dad still is. So, and I have an interesting relationship with my father, and he comes up in my conversation, and he's been a major source of my healing, especially lately. My mother, every morning, she has to pray first, read her Bible before she talks to anyone. I don't remember when it started, but I remembered while getting ready for school, primary school, which would be called middle school. Yes, middle school in America. Like when we're getting ready, and as children always do, Mom, where's my socks? Mom, where are my shoes? Mom, where's my t-shirt? Mom, where's my bag? Mom, where's my homework? A mom will go, like she's telling us where it is. I don't know what you're talking about, woman. I'm like, I need you to use your words, Mom. And my dad went through a phase where he did not like that. And part of it was, what if something was wrong with me and I'm trying to get her attention and she won't talk? And I get it. You know, sometimes a joke is funny until it's about you. So it's easy for me to say, well, Dad, that's what mom does every morning. Allow her to be. But until we find ourselves in the same situation, we get to see it in a different way. And when Dad shared that, I understood it. But that's what mom's commitment was. Her commitment to God was she's going to start her day with prayer and meditation and reading her Bible. I've definitely taken over from her now. I'm like my mother, boy. I don't want to talk to nobody in the morning. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. I mean, you can call me. You just won't get me. And if you really need me, you send me a message and I happen to find it before I'm ready to talk, I'm going to text you back. I like that, Andrea. She said, Pocket Learner on YouTube. She said, bad news for hermits. We need to interact and interrelate. Yes, and. God is all there is. Life is all there is. Everything belongs. Everything is connected. I think hermits are needed. Monks are needed. If whatever we do, I got to listen to this. If whatever we do is done with a conscious awareness, it's a different experience. But who gets to decide if it's done with a conscious awareness? I don't need to do that. But even people who are doing things that we all collectively agree that it is wrong, there's still something there for us to learn. There's still something, there's a message there for us. But, not but, and we must remember that there is a wisdom in everyone. There is a light in everyone. That no matter what they're going through and growing through, to remember to speak to that wisdom, to speak to that light. This may be a little bit charged, maybe cause some kind of charge. Oftentimes when I know I've done workshops talk about love or talk about the wisdom within us, and somebody would be like, well, yeah, that's all well and good, but what about someone who's in a domestic violence relationship? A violent relationship, how would they be able to use this principle? People come back with something, because really when people come back, sometimes people just, there's a difference with trying to understand than putting up walls to the truth that you're hearing. And there are times when people are putting up walls, but they will use other people. Well, yes, I understand this thing about talking about love, but you can't say that to people who are in a domestic violent relationship. Sometimes it may be them. I welcome those questions. I remember one time I was asked that question and I was not expecting it. It was like, I think it was 2017. I was doing a workshop and something about love, and that question came. And if towards the end when I was taking questions, and it knocked me off my center. Because at that time I was like with some people and I'm like, oh my God, I bet everyone's looking at me. I want to say the right thing. I don't want to make a mistake. And I lost my connection. I don't even remember what I said. You know, sometimes when you're not really thinking straight and you just say something and it sounds like it makes sense. And if someone asked you what you said, you're like, I have no idea what I said. But it was a great experience. No matter what situation you find yourself in, you can still use the tools. You can still use the tools. How you get to use the tools is going to be different from how I use it. There's a book called The Four Agreements where most of you would know that. Would know the book. One of the agreements, I think the first one is be impeccable with your words. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I know that being impeccable with your word is important. It's the number one. I think always don't take things personally. I think that's two. It doesn't matter, but don't make assumptions and always do your best. One of the things that I love about the fourth agreement, which is always do your best, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about your best is going to be different from moment to moment. How you love yourself, how you forgive yourself when you're in your own space, when you're in a spiritual center, in a church, at home, in a forest, in a retreat center, when you're forgiving yourself, it's different from when you're in a place where someone is oppressing you. But if you can just in that moment remember, I'm in this space, and I've heard people say I create my reality, that I am the thinker who's thinking the thought that created the thing. So maybe on some level I created this. I must be a horrible person. In that moment, I love and appreciate myself, even though my partner's not loving me. I love and appreciate myself. We can say those words, and sometimes it may not mean anything because the mind is so caught up in what's happening right now. But when you speak the word of truth, the vibration of those words shifts something in you. When you pray, sometimes you stop praying, you're like, okay, God, I need help. And help me do this, help me financially, help me with my job. And, I give thanks that I have perfect health. I give thanks. And after a while, you start saying those words, you're like, woo, woo, I give thanks that I can look back at where I used to be and where I am. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And at the end, you're like, woo, what was I praying for again? I don't even remember. But if you speak words of truth enough, you will change yourself and it will change your circumstances. In the West, and those of us who, what is it, on the left? I don't know. All the wings. There's a thought about wings, but I won't say that. But what I will say, something Rev D would say. There's left wing, politically speaking or societally speaking, there's a right wing. But you need both wings to fly. We need both wings to fly. So what's the point I was trying to make? I forgot. I'll come back to it. It is what it is. Pocket Learner said, I've learned to ignore the messenger if they're annoying, but get the message. Woo! Better. I don't say nothing about that. Yes. Sift. Get the message. Get the message. And the messenger may be a little bit confused. To quote Rev D again, Rev D had this experience where she quotes her grandmother. Reverend Deborah L. Johnson is who I'm talking about. She quotes her grandmother. And the grandmother said, the truth will be told, even if it takes a liar to tell it. Truth will be told, even if it takes a liar to tell it. So when you affirm, when you speak the truth, something shifts in you. You say it long enough. And if you're willing to even bless the person who is causing you pain in that moment, sometimes you may not be able to do that. But you might be. Something might happen. You may remember this conversation. Some customer service rep telling you telling them what the problem is. I understand what you're going through. I had a flashback. Oh, don't tell me you understand, especially when I know you're reading a note. And sometimes I don't go off anymore, but I used to. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure we resolve this. And it's of itself is neutral. And yes, I'm going to hold you accountable. But however, sometimes, we can't do that. I'm having an interesting experience with Microsoft. Microsoft, I'm going to say they suck out loud. Yep. And I am looking for a replacement, particularly for my Outlook. I'm looking for a replacement. Some of these big corporations, I'm going off on a tangent, I know it. They're in a place where they feel they could just do whatever they want to do. They can increase things. They could call you back whenever they want to call you back, even though they say, we'll call back in 24 hours. 2 weeks later, I'm still waiting. What's the message in there for me? Let me ignore the messenger who is annoying me and get the message. The message is to trust in the great I am, because the thing I'm still trying to resolve, even though I may not have it the way I want it, I still have access to my email on one of my devices. On a cell phone, on a phone that's connected to Wi-Fi. I still have access to it, and so it's all good. I have learned to ignore the messenger if they're annoying, but get the message. Turning water into wine. Transformation. We have the power. And you don't have to walk this alone. Just call on your ancestors. Represent your ancestors. Just a prayer. Stopping to say, help me. Show me what to do. Show me where to go. Tell me what to say. You are more than flesh, blood, and bone. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. So the moment you stop and ask for the answer, you're going to the deepest part of yourself, the wisest part of yourself, and asking for answers. And the divine said, before you ask, I will answer, which means the answer is already there. If you can just pause enough and listen. And it applies. We can apply it to today. We can apply it to inflation. We can. We can apply it to all kind of supremacy. We can. It's not ancient wisdom that our ancestors practiced, but nowadays the world is going to hell in a handbasket. The reason we are here, the reason you are here, the reason I'm here is to bring the ancient wisdom to make it come alive. If there ever was a time to prove that truth, that God is real, this is it. And proving that God is real don't mean you try to convert anybody. You don't have to tell an atheist, how could you not believe in God? Sometimes those of us who say we believe in God don't believe in God. I'm going to use Tamer's example again. But Tamer, I want you to know, this ain't even about you because we can all relate. There are those of us who say we believe in God and trust in God and we still resist the message. Tamer said she used to because she's no longer doing it anymore. Will fight God. She has an assignment. Sometimes we're led to do something like, I don't know, people are going to think I'm crazy. I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if someone's going to pay for it. And you say you believe in God? Is someone going to pay me for this gift? I don't know. That don't make sense. Well, is that me or is that God? We say we believe in God and sometimes we act like we don't. So let's not waste time talking to somebody. How could you not believe in God? It doesn't matter. Do you? Or maybe recognize that there are times you move through life and like, I don't know if that's true. Jeanette just jumped on IG. Sometimes we doubt the truth. Sometimes we do too much. Sometimes we don't do enough based on a human measuring scale. But your spiritual nature, the great I am, your willingness, your intention to restore, renew, redo, changes all of that. So it won't matter if you did too much or too little. You might just be able, when you sit with a candle and talking to your ancestors, or just staring at the candle and looking at that flame that's alive, move from side to side, and sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's blue and yellow, sometimes it's red. And it moves to this side, and you're like, is it windy in here? And you sit and allow your mind to contemplate this moment. You might just find out that you did exactly what you need to do in that moment. You may look back and say, no, I could have done something different. But in that moment, you believe that was what you were supposed to do. Whether you did it because you were mad, I didn't want them to get away with it. So in that moment, you believe that was the right thing to do. Rituals open you up to great wisdom. It connects you with deep wisdom. And it activates new solutions, new ideas, new thoughts, new way of being, new way of communicating. Sometimes, pocket learner, sometimes the best way to do is to be. Mic drop. I think I might finish early today. I can't even believe it. All right, before we go, thoughts, ideas. You know I love your interactions. So thank you for those of you in the chat room who are sharing your comments. I appreciate you on IG. Pat is late. You're in trouble. You're going to be in detention. I'm going to send you to the house of love and sit there and reflect on your behavior. Yes, you can listen to the replay now and later because you're going to hear something that you didn't hear before. Tamer said, thank you, God and my ancestors, for bringing me here today. We can all say that prayer. Thank you, God and my ancestors, for bringing me here today. Thank you, God, for giving me the words to speak. Thank you, ancestors, for inspiring me through me. Don't leave home without it. Don't leave home without your ancestors. There's so much going on that is important to know that you're connected to deep roots. It helps you recognize that you belong, regardless of what's happening in your country, wherever that is, whether that's America, whether that's UK, where people are saying, go back to where you come from, which is BS. Where did you come from with your wide mouth? Ain't your parents from Russia? Your grand forefathers didn't come from Germany? Go back too. You can do that. Who is really from where they say that where they think they're from? Yes, the truth will be told whether it takes a liar to tell it. And then Brother Trump spoke a lot of truth. And what I mean truth, because there's truth, there's spiritual truth, and there's personal truth. He spoke the truth for those who feel it, who think it, but didn't have the courage to say it out loud, or didn't have the platform. And we all get to see how people are thinking. And sometimes, not sometimes, what I would say is, if we allow ourselves to be led by what's happening now, and then things change, it's like, well, this is what we're focusing on now. This is what we're focusing on now. Like that whole thing about compartmentalizing our life. Okay, good. Trump is no longer in office. Oh, we got Biden. He's no good, but he's better than him. Well, if you go to sleep on the job, you end up having a re-Trump. It may not be him, but it'll be somebody else. We have a responsibility to show up for what is true, what is good, what is harmonious, what is beautiful, and what is joyful. And then also recognize these leaders do what they do because on some level, we let them. We allow it. And we also know they can do whatever the flip they want to do. But if they're passing bills and laws and stuff that's causing pain, that's oppressing people, and it pains you so much, maybe you need to ask God, your ancestors, your guides, your angels, how can I be of service to those who are oppressed, those without homes? What can I do to counter this BS that's happening? Because rather than getting caught up in their BS, I want to be the shift. I let their bullshit be a message for me to be the shift. Still BS. Let other people's I love that. That's pretty good. Let their bullshit, their BS, inspire you to be the shift. I think that's a good place to leave it. Damn, that was good. That's right. That is so right. Pocket learner. The same mouth that speaks lies speaks truth. And we can all testify to that. That we are that mouth. Let me tell you some things that's happening. As I said earlier, this Thursday, April 28th, type this in here because I'm not the best at typing and talking. So I just type the link and it will tell you what it's about. Well, I'll tell you what it's about. bit.ly/your ancestors. It will take you to the event that I'm doing this Thursday with letsreimagine.org. So check it out, register. Let's have a conversation. Let's elevate the consciousness. Let's elevate humanity by elevating ourselves. Take a moment to ask yourself, what's the meaning of my name? What does my name say about me? I'll leave that there. Tomorrow morning for me, 2 a.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time in America. Join Ricky Bias and myself for Soul Fulfilling, for sacred conversations and sacred songs that connects you with your sacredness. Every Monday on LinkedIn, or you can follow me on LinkedIn, Ade Anifuwishi. I'm now hosting a podcast with two other friends, Cecile Armstrong and Christine Gautreau, every Monday at 11:45 a.m. Eastern and 4:45 UK time. Check it out. We talk about self-care, undoing racism, leadership. The podcast is called Playing with Possibilities. Playing with Possibilities. That's every Monday. And my podcast with Ricky is called Soul Fulfilling, every Wednesday and Thursday. Every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 2 a.m. UK time. And also, what else do I want to tell you? I want to tell you that if you are in the thought, in the energy, or maybe you do have a podcast and you're looking for a podcast hosting site that is growing, that is big, that is connected to all the podcast platform, check out libsyn.com, libsyn.com, and check out what they're offering. Look at it. If it works for you and you want to sign up, make sure you don't sign up on the first of the month. Anytime after the first of the month, sign up. And when you sign up, make sure you use my promo code, ADE, ADE. Use that, you'll get at least 1 month free. If you sign up on the 2nd, you get that whole month free and the next month free. You can try it out, test it. So you get 2 months for free. Yeah, I think we are complete. Any questions? Any thoughts? Wow, it is 7:29. Yeah, I'm asking questions and thoughts. And then I'm saying it's 7:20 and I'm going to finish in time. Question is, do you remember my sister Paula Wilson from Hillside? She always spoke about you. I feel a resonance with the name, but I can't quite see the face. Send me her, send me a picture of her, maybe a Facebook page or something. Inbox me. Yeah, Paula Wilson. I don't know. I think I know her. So how is she? Said your sister. What's the rest of the conversation? Do I remember her? I think I do. She spoke. She spoke. She always spoke about you. Yeah, tell me more about her. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, beautiful people. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Thank you for being here. I want to invite you to do something for me. As you've heard this conversation, right? Now I want to invite you to take the consciousness and multiply it. Multiply it by liking the show, sharing the show. If you haven't done it, please do it. But if you're getting guidance not to share it, I don't know why you get guidance not to share it. I mean, come on, this is some juicy stuff. I mean, even that last quote, let the bullshit inspire you to be the shift. Quote me if you ever use that. I don't care how many times you use it. Quote me all the time. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that was good. Yes, take the consciousness and multiply it. And let's work together. I'm looking for all my tags here. Let's work together. If you want to move from just like, wow, that was deep, and you want to embody it, you want to start living it, you want to have a conversation about ancestors and how you can have a deeper conversation, deeper relationship with your ancestors, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. check me out, send me a message. I will send you my Calendly link and we'll book a time to talk. Well, let me rephrase that. We can have a quick chat about my work, but we ain't going to be talking. You're not going to have me do the work while you're calling me on a free consultation. I got to honor my time and your time. And people pay attention when they invest in their time. All right. Let me see. I see some more conversation here. Thank you very much, William. I appreciate you. I'd like to. Oh, funny. I was reading your mind. I'd like to speak to you afterward if you're available. Right now, I'm going to go eat. I haven't had lunch. I've only had cereal. I'm hungry. I had to drink. You don't need all that. But how about I'll send you my Calendly link, Andrea, and then we can schedule a time. That would help. What else? What else do I need to tell you? Once again, I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. I have 2 channels going on here. Thank you all for being here. And whatever you do, be who you are. Show up. Let the world know you're here and let your light shine so bright that even your BS will be like, I can't hang. This is too much heat. Peace and blessings.
Be who you are. Let your light shine.